I'm going to have to start bringing 2 trays for, and have 24 slots because there's not enough slots in one tray. So anyway, I enjoyed it so much. The food was really, really good. So many of you I've gotten to meet over the last few years. I love y'all. This is a mission that we are all on. And I'm going to tell you our story. And as you can see, this was me. That's my before picture. Let me tell you who we are, first of all. My name's Vicki Spradling, and my husband Dennis is sitting here too. We might convince him to say a few words. He's not as easily to talk to people as I am. I'll talk to anybody, but getting up in front of a bunch of people, that's really not me. I attribute that to my passion for this way of eating and God. I think He put us on this path for a reason. He gave me this voice to be able to talk to you today. Anyway, our story, we grew up in little towns in Illinois. We didn't meet until we were in college, but small towns in Illinois, meat and potatoes family. My grandpa was a dairy farmer, and he also raised Hampshire hogs. And my grandma had a huge garden. So, I grew up eating the standard American diet. That's just the way we ate. Sundays was usually fried chicken, and the vegetables we ate were usually peas, green beans, corn, potatoes, of course, but the potatoes were and butter, milk, gravy. That's just the way we all grew up. And I bet most of you out here grew up that way also. My grandma even butchered her own chickens, and I remember my sweet grandma, who I love dearly, and I watched her raise these chickens, and she would snatch one up off the ground and putting it up against the garage door, and that image will be with me for the rest of my life. And then we went in and ate it. You couldn't give me enough money to do anything like that, but that's the life. Okay, my family health history. Really think my mother had acromegaly, which is a tumor on her pituitary gland, which caused abnormal bone growth. Her features were, her hands and feet were very large. Her face was very pronounced. Y'all are familiar with Abraham Lincoln. You're distantly related to him, and that probably came from him to my mother. So that was something, of course at the time we didn't know what was wrong with Mom when she was growing up and stuff. But she also had systemic lupus. I cannot remember my mom ever being healthy. I just don't remember that. It was growing up and seeing your mom sick all the time is so very, very hard to watch. My brother was 4 years younger than me. We spent a lot of time with Grandma and Grandpa and my Uncle Dale and Eugene because my mom was in and out of the hospital. They didn't know what was wrong with her. They treated her for all kinds of things, which made the situation much worse. That's why when Joyce was here, that's why it was so important that I be here, because y'all are here. The things that I know now could have changed my mom's life, could have changed my dad's life. My dad died of a sudden heart attack at 63 in the doctor's office. You couldn't be in a better place to have a heart attack, right? Unless you were in the emergency room at the hospital. So, heart disease, my dad was diabetic, both my grandmas were diabetic, several of my aunts and uncles were diabetic. Horrible family history of health. Okay. Now, Dennis's family history of health is not a whole lot better. His dad died when Dennis was 6 years old we think, a brain aneurysm, but we really don't know. Dennis was so little, that trying to find out from his family hasn't been very helpful, so we're not really sure what happened, but, you know, he lost his dad. So, his mom, am I closer? You can't hear me?
Oh,
Okay. I'll try.
Better.
Okay. His mom had diabetes. I'm not sure when she was diagnosed with diabetes. Do you know? No. I remember her having diabetes most of our married life, so she's had it for quite a while. 2 of his siblings have diabetes and heart disease. So, you know, we don't offer a whole lot to our children genetic-wise. So it's up to us to, you know, make sure they eat correctly. Myself, and Dr. Carney just had me tested, I still have the markers for lupus. I was told that many years ago, and but luckily I've never had any problems along that line, and I'm going to continue to eat this way the rest of my life, and I won't. That's the way I feel about it. My father also suffered from PTSD from things he saw in the war. So he would have nightmares and run through the house screaming, and it was, you know, so that's my childhood. I'm going to try not to read this, but I don't want to leave anything out. Okay, let's get on to how my plant-based diet started. I had broken my wrist. I was a very active, unhealthy person. Here I am. I was a gymnastic coach, and I taught, which sounds real impressive for somebody who can't do a cartwheel, but I was. For some reason, I have this ability to see when somebody's doing something wrong in gymnastics, and I'm really good with little kids. So I was a kinder gymnastics coach, and I taught 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds. I can teach you to do a cartwheel, but I could never do one. So, but I might have better luck doing one now at my size now than I did then. So that's something to consider. Here's a picture of, we had taken the grandkids to Disney, and look at Dennis. This doesn't look like the same people. Here's another picture of Dennis. This is probably the worst one I was able to find. And I don't know whether you can tell. I don't know whether you can tell or not, but his color looked horrible then. You know, that's something that I really watch when I see people now, is I watch their coloring. And we'll get to why I pay attention to that here in a minute. And this is, my daughter sent me this picture yesterday. I won't repeat what I said when she sent it to me because it wasn't mine. But look at that person. That's me. It's very embarrassing to show that picture, but it's the truth. And there you go. I love the rolls. They're just, you know, that's from eating the standard American diet. I was 60 years old. Obviously I wasn't healthy, but I don't think I realized I wasn't healthy. Although I did have high blood pressure. I had, my cholesterol was pretty high. I was a member of Weight Watchers, and I was good. You know, I wrote those points down, I kept track of them, and there I was. Didn't do a whole lot of good. This is how much weight I've lost. That's 80 pounds of potatoes, and actually I need to go add another 1 pound because I've lost 81 pounds. But I had my daughter come take the picture, and she was like, "Mommy, do what?" And I'm like, that's perfectly fine. I want you to take a picture of me with the number of potatoes I lost. And I lost that weight eating those potatoes. That's what blows people's mind. I eat a lot of potatoes. I love potatoes. And here I am trying on size 4 jeans, which never in my entire life did I think I would wear a size 4. A couple years ago, I was so proud because I was wearing a size 8. And my daughter and granddaughter said, "Mom, those are too big on you." And I'm like, "No, they're not, because I'm not going to ever wear a 6. And they took me shopping the day after Thanksgiving and told me, "Try them on." And by golly, size 6 fit. Okay. All right. So, but I thought that's it, because God gave me hips and they're not going away. Well, I'm now wearing size 4s. So,
wow.
There you go. And okay, so let's get back to what started all this. I had broke my wrist, and I went to see Dr. Sani, Irvin Sani in Seguin, and he put a plate in my arm, and everything was fine. And I saw him, and I was seeing the hand therapist. And after maybe 3 or 4 months, I was still seeing the hand therapist because things were going backwards. I had recovered, and then my wrist wasn't working anymore, and so she sent me back to Dr. Sani, and he determined that my body was rejecting the metal plate and wrapping scar tissue, trying to wrap scar tissue around it, which was cutting off the corporal nerve. So he had to redo the surgery. So I got to see him for about a year. And on my last appointment to see him, I'm sitting there and I'm thanking him because he had done, and I respect this man so much. I said, I'm going to come back and see you because my knees hurt all the time. He's an orthopedic surgeon, and I'm having a lot of trouble with my back. And the man turned to me, sat down in front of me, and he said, "Tell me what you eat." And I thought he was crazy. I thought, why are we asking about what I'm eating? Because my knees hurt and my back hurt. But anyway, so I told him, and I told him that, I'm a Weight Watcher members. I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and I eat, chicken and fish. I don't hardly ever eat beef. And then he said, "Do you like to read?" And I'm like, okay, he's way off topic, but I respect him, so I'm going to answer. I love to read. So he said, "Well, why don't you read the book, The China Study by Dr. T. Colin Campbell?" I said, "Okay." So I went home and I downloaded the book, The China Study by Dr. T. Colin Campbell, and I started reading it, and it's not anything like the books I normally like to read. So when I'm reading the book, and about a third of the way through, I'm getting up, and I'm running through the house, and I'm screaming, "We will never have dairy in this house again. We're done. We're not going to eat that stuff no more." And I know Dennis must have thought, okay, she has totally lost her mind. Because he was, at that time, he drank probably 3 or 4 gallons of milk a week himself. Now, milk had never been something I liked. As growing up, I was forced to drink it as a child. My grandpa was a dairy farmer, and so I had to have it. But I didn't really drink a lot of it at the house, but I did like cheese. Who doesn't like cheese, right? And I liked yogurt and ice cream, So all of those offending things I did eat. So I went back to reading the book and got a little bit further on, and I'm thinking, shoot, I'm going to be a vegan. I'm not eating that stuff no more. And, the things that really triggered it for me was the prostate cancer in men, the breast cancer in women, the connection to lupus. And I'm thinking, okay, I was told I had markers for lupus, and I'm eating, drinking that, stuff, and I'm, eating that yogurt, eating that ice cream, eating that cheese, and oh my gosh, I don't want no part of this. So I've been vegan from that moment. I couldn't sleep till I had finished reading that book. Practically, I think I did sleep a little bit, but it was like I had to get back to that book. If you've not read it, I recommend reading it. It's a very scientific book, and there's a lot of it that was way over my head, but I was compelled. And I knew what I was reading was the truth. And that's what happened. And I have not one time have I given in since then to any temptations. You can ask my family, they're like, yeah, she would, 100%. Okay, so that's what started my journey. So my life changed that very day. Dr. Sami's my hero. I love and respect that man. We have become friends. He supports what I do. He went with me. We went and made a tour around HEB. It's on YouTube somewhere, about what healthy foods to eat and stuff like that. I wish he had more time to devote to this, because he's an awesome guy. Let's see, where are we at now? Okay, so that's how I got started. After that, I was like on this mission to learn as much as I possibly could about nutrition. I started watching videos. I think probably the first one I probably watched was Forks Over Knives, and we've probably all watched that one. That one's life-changing. I looked up every one of the doctors that was on there and found them, learned as much as I could about them. And then I kept watching video after video and reading book after book after book, and I'm probably well over 50 books now. I have more knowledge in my head than I ever did growing up. Some of it gets jumbled and it's not always perfect, but I believe in this very strongly. I felt alone at times because I was trying to take anybody I could and force them to sit down and watch Forks Over Knives. I was trying to get them to pay attention to what I was saying, but I just kept on going. Dennis would eat what I would cook at home, but then he would eat whatever he wanted to. And he would bring home DiGiorno pizzas and eat the whole thing. And I'd be like, oh, I was mortified, but you know, he did it. Sometimes there would be slabs of beef in the oven, but I just ignored it. My daughter, I think she thought I was kind of nuts. She'd listen to me sometimes. My grandchildren, same way. They thought, oh, grandma's lost it. My son, you know, but anyway, I kept going. I felt alone, but I felt like it was important. And this is kind of where I think God started to intervene, because I decided, you know, we've got to get the word out. We've got to tell the truth. People have to know this stuff. And so I was determined, and that's what I did. Then, I think we're getting to going through all the videos and everything and watching all the doctors, I kind of felt that Dr. John McDougall's program, The Starch Solution, was for me. That seemed to be the one that resonated the strongest with me, so that's kind of the program I have followed for the past little over 7 years now. My cholesterol dropped to 135, my blood pressure went to 117/80, and it remained that way for a long, long time. And the better I did, the better I felt. My arthritis that I had been feeling in my hands, yes?
And that was without medication?
Yes. Well, yeah, because I quit that stuff. You're not supposed to do that, but I did it. I am who I am, and I've done some things that maybe weren't probably the proper way, but I could tell I was feeling so much better, and what was happening, if I took the blood pressure medicine, I was getting dizzy. So I was like, it's time to drop that, so I quit taking that. But the longer I did it, the better I felt. But the things like my hands, I would wake, before I changed my hands, I would wake up and my hands, my joints would hurt. And I'm like, okay, you're 60, you're getting arthritis, this is what happens. It's what, happens. But I woke up one morning and I'm like, my hands don't hurt. This was probably within 10 days of changing my diet. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. And then I was walking around and I thought, yeah, my knees don't hurt and my back's not bothering me.
So, I'm like, there's something very powerful going on here. And so, I started telling all my friends. And I have for years. I go to the wellness center in Seguin, and I work out, and I do water aerobics. And I was, telling all the ladies in water aerobics, you know what, this is working. And they're like, yeah, sure. Yeah. They're thinking, that woman's nuts. But some of those very people that used to make fun of me and give me a hard time, and some of it was relentless. I would get questions like, what about your protein? You're not getting enough protein. And then what about your bones? Your bones. You're getting older. You have to have strong bones. Well, I think my bones now are stronger than they've ever been, and I think it's because I gave up eating all that stuff. But some of those people are my strongest supporters now, and they've come on and they're doing it full on now too. And in fact, one couple is very proud over the fact that they will stop a person in the grocery store and start talking to them, so they're even worse than I am. I still have visions of stopping someone in the grocery store and start throwing things out of their car, which if I love you, that might happen. So far, I have not done that, but it's in the back of my mind. Okay, so this is where I was, and then 4 years ago this February, I come downstairs and Dennis tells me, I think I need to go to the emergency room, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever you say. And this is where we both might get a little emotional, so be prepared. I was like, okay, so I started getting dressed and stuff like that. And all in all, I'm thinking, okay, he's fine. He'd been out the day before with the chainsaw doing some trimming stuff in our pasture. And so I'm thinking, he's pulled a muscle, so I'm not worried. And we drive to the hospital, and we getting out of the car, I picked up my purse that wasn't zipped, and it dumps all over the place. And so I said, go on in, and I'll be in a minute. So I gather up my stuff real quick, and I go in, and they've already taken him back, and I go in the room, and these people are running around like crazy. Mm. And I'm like, okay, and he's sitting upright, and he's talking to the doctor and stuff, and this is where it becomes totally unreal. And the doctor says, well, Mr. Spradling, you're having a heart attack, and we've already called Krista Santa Rosa, and the ambulance is on its way. Mm. And I'm like, he's having a what? I'm like, totally, it seems so unreal. And the doctor walks over to me, and he said, Miss Spradling, you need to call his children. That's a moment you don't want to hear, but that's what he said. So I frantically start trying to get a hold of the kids, and and it's early in the morning, they're showering and getting dressed, and all kinds of stuff is going on. I finally was able to get a hold of Stacy, and I left messages with my son and daughter-in-law, and within minutes, we're rushing to New Braunfels from Seguin. I'm driving by myself because, they take him on, and I'm like, the whole time I'm not believing this. I'm thinking, this isn't real. As you could see from the pictures, Dennis was overweight, but not, by today's standard, not really that much. Mm-hmm. I know he was eating good some of the time. He wasn't eating bad all the time, but he, so anyway, that's what happened. They did a stent, was able to stop the heart attack. They come out, and they're talking to me, and they're telling me how bad his arteries are, and he's in bed, he's got all this stuff going on, and they talked to him, and they said, they really recommended a heart bypass. And I'm like, well, okay, because I'm scared. I'm scared out of my mind. I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? I wasn't prepared for this. He was only 63 years old. So we agreed to the heart bypass, and they take him back, and they're doing surgery, and I'm sitting there with my family, and stuff, and worried and sick and stuff. But I'm not so worried that I didn't get on Amazon, and I ordered him his very own copy of the reverse heart disease, because I'm thinking, if we survive this, he's not ever going to eat a DiGiorno pizza again. Done. I'm eating that way. This is going to be it. So I ordered him this book, and I know that's kind of a bizarre thing to do, which you're going through that, but I'm thinking, okay, because I had already read this book, because, it was part of the, 20, 30 plus books that I had read at that point in time, and so I knew this was the one he needed to have. So I ordered him the book, and he survived. What I did not know, and this is the part that shocked me and will continue to shock me the rest of my life. He survived the heart attack. He survived the surgery. But what I did not know was that my fight was just beginning. I didn't know I was going to have to fight with everybody in that hospital. I didn't know I was going to have to fight just I felt like to keep my husband alive. And my nerves were raw at the time. One of the first foods that they bring him after he's had a quadruple bypass surgery is a cheeseburger.
Oh my gosh.
I wasn't nice. I don't remember what I said. No, I was not nice. I still feel like, because I'm usually very polite, but I was not nice. I feel like I need to go back and find that poor girl that brought me in, because that was not nice. But it was bizarre, how these medical professionals could be so far from the truth. I fought with the dietitian people. I fought with the nurses. I fought with the doctors. I fought with the physical therapist. I fought for the 10 days he was in there. I think we were in there 10 days, wasn't it? Or 8, however many days. I was fighting every day. And I was like, no, we're not going to eat that way. That's what got him here. It was like, and I would have these conversations, and they would tell me, oh, but he has to have lean proteins. Well, cheeseburger is not lean protein to begin with, but anyway, he has to have these foods in order to heal. And I'm like, no, he doesn't. We're going to eat my way now, because his way didn't work. So, this is what happened. So we get home, and I'm thinking, well, at least I don't have to fight anymore, because he has no choice. He can't get up and cook himself. I'm cooking for him. This is how we're doing. But I was wrong. The insurance company calls, and they've invested a lot of money in him, because we just had all this surgery and stuff. So they call, and they, and they want to talk to me about his diet. And I'm like, well, we've got that covered. We're eating whole food, plant-based, no oil, and they, oh, no, we can't do that. And I'm like, I'm fighting with the insurance company over the phone. This is crazy. So, and then the hospital sends the little nurse out to the house. She comes twice, and she comes out there, and she starts this, lean protein and eggs and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, and this is what we're doing. And she's basically telling me that if I don't feed him the way she says, he's not going to do good and he's not going to heal. And I'm like, no, we're doing this. It was a constant battle. And at that point in time, my nerves are still raw. He feels horrible. He's been in tremendous amount of pain and suffering. That operation is just horrible. It's a life-saving operation, but it's horrible to go through. And so he says to me after I think the second time the nurse was there, he says, maybe these people are right. They're medical professionals or something to that effect. I don't remember his exact words. And I'm like, no, I'm right. I know I'm right. And So I sat down at the computer and I sent out 2 emails. I sent one to Dr. Caldwell Esselton and one to Dr. John McDougall. And I said, help me, I'm trying to save my husband. I don't know what to do. These people are telling him the stuff that I know is wrong. I know what we need to be doing, and that's why I'm feeding him that way. But he's beginning to doubt it. And within a couple hours, Dr. Esselton called us on the phone.
Wow.
And he talks to me. I think I tried to get Dennis to talk, but Dennis wasn't feeling up to it, and he's kind of blown his mind. So I think I put it on speaker, but I don't remember. So anyway, but Dr. Esselton said he needed to watch Forks Over Knives, he needed to read his book, and he needed to look up the papers that he had recently written. And that's what Dennis did. I got up the next morning and he said he'd been up all night reading the book.
Wow.
And then he said, we got to do this. And I said, I know we got to do this. And he's been 100% ever since. Woo. So and then the next morning, there in my email box was a letter from Dr. McDougall, and it was from him. It wasn't from somebody in his office. It was from him, and he told me to stay strong. He told me that what I was doing was right, and we had to keep it up, and to let him know if we needed any more help. To say that Dennis and I love these 2 people is an understatement, because those men don't have to do things like that. They don't have to reach out. We were complete strangers. There's no monetary anything. There's nothing other than the fact that they care. It's kind of like our very own Dr. Carney. Dr. Carney cares. It cares about the whole person. My orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Sani, he cares about the whole person. That's what we need for medical people. We need somebody who cares about the whole person, people that will get to the bottom of what the problem really is. And if you don't have a doctor like that, get out and find one. And I can recommend one right now. So, yeah, I'll get that too. We'll get to there in a minute. I'm getting through this pretty good here. Okay. So then we start our journey with cardiologists. Okay. So I grab our books because I'm going in armed and ready. And we were very fortunate. Dennis's first cardiologist. I walked in, I'm ready, and by now my emotions are under control and I know what to say. And I knew I had Dr. Esselton behind me and Dr. McDougall behind me. And I come in, I sit down, I said, this is how we're eating. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's wonderful, this is how I feed my family. She was just, so she was just like, she was like a godsend. There again, God's, he's directing you, he guides us. I mean, things are happening and you don't even know. But there he is. So we were delighted, and she took good care of Dennis. She started lowering his medications. She was doing really good, and we saw her, I think, three times. And then we go to make our appointment, and she's military, and she's going away. I'm like, oh no. So then we saw a cardiologist who had no interest in whole food, plant-based, no oil at all, and he was kind of a pain because he didn't want to take him off his medicines. He was, he's going to lose, money, and the whole system will fall apart if we do well. So we saw him a couple times, and then the last time we had an appointment at that office, we didn't even get to see the doctor. And we're like, okay, we're coming up here to see the doctor and to prove to him, hey, you know what, look at my blood work now. But he wasn't interested. So then we started going to Dr. Julie Remo in Seguin. And she wasn't really, didn't know a whole lot about it, but she was very curious about whole food plant-based. So I gave her a list of books and stuff and movies to watch, and by golly, we turned her. She is now a whole food plant-based cardiologist, and I feel very excited about that. She's very proud of Dennis and what he's been able to do, and we're very happy. We wouldn't switch to another one for all the money in the world because we know the good and the bad. So that's where we were at. So then I want to get to where Dennis and I are trying to pay it back forward. Oh, paying it forward, that's where we're at now. Okay, during the past 7 years, as anybody that knows me knows, I've been very passionate about this. If you were friends of mine on Facebook, a lot of you would have left by now. And I know that there are people that did stop following me and did block me or whatever it is you do to get rid of people, because I was very, very passionate about this, sharing and talking and just stuff like that. Luckily, my family stayed with me. They didn't abandon me at all. But I wanted to start helping people. I didn't want anyone to go through the things we had been through. I wanted people to feel as good as I feel now. I didn't feel good when I was 60 years old. But at 67, I feel better than I did probably in my 30s and 40s. I know I'm a lot healthier than what I was then. I have endless energy. I do, I not only go to the gym, work out 3 days a week. I'm now, because of Dr. Carney, I'm walking a tremendous amount every day. I feel fantastic. I do woodworking projects. I do amazing stuff. People my age don't do the things I do, so I feel great. But I want other people to feel that way, and it hurts my heart when I see someone my age that can't get out and do things with their grandkids or their great-grandkids. It just, that's hard for me to see. So I started trying to get people to come on board. So what I decided I would do is I would have them come to my house, and I would cook for them, and I would have them watch Forks Over Knives, and I would hand out some papers and some stuff where they could do some more research on their own, and I thought it was a great idea. Well, so 2 years ago, this past January, I started doing that. And it all was well and good, except for the fact I don't like to cook, and I'm not the best housekeeper in the world, so I was having to keep a super clean house because these people were coming to my house, and I was having to cook. And it was happening 3 or 4 times a week, and I'm like, okay, I may be bitten off more than I can chew. And so finally Dennis said, this is really getting out of hand. And so I decided I would go to my church, and First United Methodist Church in Seguin, and so I went to the church's, the nurse, the Wesley nurse, and I said, I would like to do this, and what do you think? And she was like, well, sure, but we'll need to talk to the pastors. And she said, let's give it a try. And so I said, okay, let's do that. So we scheduled, in that first meeting, Stacy and I think, I'm not sure who else. I think there was about 3 of us that cooked. I think we had like 60 people that first meeting. In Seguin, Texas. Oh my goodness. Okay. We're talking farming community and everything, and stuff like that. But that's what we did. So then it's been a learning experience. Each month I spend a tremendous amount of time trying to get ready for it. Dennis and we try to have a topic each month. And I try to read a book on that topic, or I find YouTube videos, and I find everything that I can to go with that, and to give everybody a handout each month. So, because what I want is I want people to go home and research and learn for themselves, because knowledge is power. Knowledge is what's going to change this world. Knowledge is what's going to save us all. If you know the truth, you'll do better. So I try to do that every month. And so it's going really well. It'd be 2 years this month that we've been doing it. It's grown tremendously. I think that about 30, 35 is the fewest we have. The most we ever had was 80. We had the hot firefighter from San Antonio who won the PETA thing. We had 80 people there. It was kind of crazy, but it's something that means a lot to both of us. We don't want people to go through what we did. So, and y'all are welcome. I would love to have any of you come anytime. And if you would love to come and speak, I'm always looking for, like Patty is for y'all, I'm always looking for people to come speak, because I think a live person is much better than a video. So we're always open for that. Let's see, where are we at here? Yeah, okay, Dennis is going to pass one per table. This is the handout that I give to people the very first time they come to one of our meetings. If you would like a copy of that, he's got a pad and paper and pen, so you can write your email address and I'll email it to you. I had no idea how many was going to be here, so I didn't know how many to print. And I thought, well, if somebody wants it, they can send me, I can send it, email it to them. But what it is, it kind of gives you a list of books that I recommend. It gives a list of videos I recommend, some of the doctors that I recommend checking into, and Dr. Carney's one of them. So let's see. Okay, so where we're at now on our journey, I want to go into that a little bit. Back in January, Dennis had some health concerns, and not feeling at all confident in our local physicians. I said, I want to go see Dr. Carney, which I had been planning on becoming one of her patients for a long time, but I'm never sick. So, I don't even get colds or anything anymore. I did have a couple of times this year where I had some sinus junk, but other than that, I don't ever get sick. So, we started coming to see Dr. Carney. We both love her dearly, and all I can say is, wow. She has made a huge difference. I had 10 extra pounds that I had been trying to get rid of for 2.5 years, and I had done absolutely everything I could possibly think to do. I had followed all the advice. I've lost 11.5 pounds since I started seeing her in January, because she's wonderful. And we discovered, she ran a bunch of tests on me. We discovered that my cholesterol is higher than what it should be, considering how I eat. And because I'm really strict, we are both really strict. If we go to a restaurant, if we're traveling or something, and they will not cook for us without oil, we say thank you very much, and we get up and walk out. So we're very, very strict. But there's a couple things that Dr. Carney checked. One, he checked my iodine levels, which nobody had ever checked that before, and my hands are always cold and my feet are always cold. And some of the things that, I'd had my thyroid checked before, and everybody said it was in normal ranges, which it still is, but my iodine's low, so I'm taking iodine thanks to her, and that's one of the things that it might help. It also might help my cholesterol back to normalizing, because like I said, it was like 135 for 2 or 3 years. It was really good, and then for some reason it's higher right now. The other thing, she thinks possibly I might have some sleep apnea going on, so we're going to do a sleep study here the 1st of May is when we're doing that. So when she gets to the bottom of the problem, and she cares enough to make sure she finds out what that is, and then you fix the cause, and you're fine. Thank you, Dr. Arnie. Yeah, she's also got, since then, Dennis he had gotten into drinking a lot of smoothies with a lot of fruit, and his cholesterol and stuff had gone up. Smoothies are great, but you gotta be careful. You're drinking a lot of calories there and getting in more than what you really need, so be careful with that. But he's doing great now. He's got his cholesterol back down, his blood pressure is back down, and he's doing great. Again, thank you, Dr. Carney. We love her. Yeah. So, yeah. I think everybody in this room does. That's okay. Okay. Back to my family. My family's doing good. We no longer, the first couple of years I would cook for Thanksgiving. I would cook the traditional meal and then cook for myself, and then, once he came on board, And I think 3 years ago now, I told them, it's not gonna happen no more. We will be having a whole food plant-based, no oil Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter. That's the way it is. And they're fine, they've survived. Even the grandkids, the food's good. We can all agree the food's good. My daughter, who I finally got her going, I would say probably 95 to 98% whole food plant-based. If you put a cookie in front of her, though, it's probably going to get eaten. But she does really good, and in their home, she cooks this way. So, and my son-in-law, still working on getting him 100%. I think when he's away from home, I think he eats things I would rather him not eat. My son and his family, we've got a long way to go with them. I will say that as a standard American diet, though, they probably eat healthier than most. They do a lot of gardening, and they do a lot of salads and fruits and vegetables and stuff like that, but they still eat some things that we don't think are a good idea. But that's where they are. Kind of want to talk to you about what's hard about all of this. The hardest part is seeing people be sick when you know what you know can help them. It's sometimes hard to know when to say something and when not to. I struggle with that, so if y'all want to say a prayer, pray that nobody smacks me someday. Sometimes I'm more concerned, and I open my mouth sometimes when I shouldn't. But it's so hard. It's so hard to see people be sick when you know if they just change what they put on their plate, it can make a world of difference in them. I would give the world to be able to go back and tell my mom, all that milk that you're drinking, that's hurting you. Mm-hmm. I would give the world to be able to say that. I would give the world to be able to tell my dad, you gotta eat this. You gotta change the way you're eating. I lost him at 63. I loved my dad. I loved my mom. I hate the way they both suffered. Children. Seeing children, we all see them every day. Seeing children that are suffering from obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure. I'm talking elementary school children. We see that every day, and that's so hard. It's so hard. As a gymnastics coach and teaching those kids, we had kids, 3 and 4 year olds, because I taught the little ones, 3 and 4 year olds that were so big they couldn't walk on the balance beam, not because they couldn't balance, but there wasn't room for their little thighs. That's sad. As a gymnastics coach, we would go out into schools and do PE for the day. And these kids, they're suffering. They're suffering. And nobody's doing anything about it. But then you see the food that they eat at lunchtime and you're mortified. We have got to change that. And it's going to be up to us. It's going to be up to you and me and doctors like Dr. Carney, Dr. Sani, Dr. McDougall, Dr. Eslan. These people, we have to change it. because we can't wait for the system to catch up, and we can't wait for the government to do anything about it. Because there's money involved, and that's where it is. It's a business. Us all being sick is a business, and we've got to change it. Oh yeah, okay. That's kind of like my finale. Okay. I'm not there yet. Okay. Dennis and I are very lucky. We have a tremendous support group surrounding us. First, I want to say a huge thank you to First United Methodist Church for letting me have the hall once a month and bringing people in. They don't have to do that, but they do. They considered it an outreach, and they've been tremendously supportive, and we thank them. And I want to thank again Dr. Sani, I want Dr. Remo, Dr. Carney, and the direct. Oh, I almost forgot about one person. A nurse, Mary Mollenkoff was Dennis's cardiac rehab nurse. And I have to honestly say, she was one of the people I had to fight with. But because of us, she's now whole food plant-based no more. And now when a new cardiac patient comes in, she slaps down on the table the whole food plant-based no oil pictures and tells the people this is how you need to be eating and gives them a list of things that they should have and what they should be doing. She says she has trouble. We are in Seguin, Texas. It is cattle country, and we do have a lot of farmers. So not everybody's doing it, but she said instead of doing the high protein, low carb talk that she used to, she's turned it completely around. So that's because of us. And then the final thing that I want to tell you about that I'm so excited about and so proud of is at our last meeting, this gentleman comes in, and I always go up and greet the newcomers and stuff, and I give them a handout and welcome them. And the doctor, and he says to me, "Do you not know who I am?" And I'm like, "No, sir, I don't." And who are you? And he said, "Well, I'm Thomas Rach." And I'm like, "Well, nice to meet you." And he said, "Dr. Thomas Rach." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, thank you. Well, welcome." And I was so excited that a doctor came, and he said, "I'm a friend of Dr. Sani's, and he's been telling me I need to come to this meeting." And so I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm so happy to have you." Then we got to talking. He's had bypass surgery. He now is doing Dr. Esseltyn's program. And he said, "I'm encouraging my patients to do so also." And he said, "In fact, I was supposed to meet one of my patients here tonight that her, Miss Fowler's was supposed to come tonight, and I'm good friends with Miss Fowler's daughter-in-law, and Miss Fowler's daughter and her family, who now are whole food plant-based thanks to us, and he said, because Miss Fowler's having some problems, but something came up and she's not going to be here, but I decided to come on and come. And so I, gave him some information. He, stayed for their program and stuff, and afterwards he was like, he took my handout that y'all's being passed around here, and he said, "Do you mind if I make copies of this and give this to some of my patients?" And I said, "No, that'd be fine, And I said, "And encourage them to come to our meetings. We'd love to have them." And he said, "Oh, I will." And he said, I've been telling people." And he said, "I think I've sent you a few people." And I said, "Oh, well, thank you so much." And he said, "Here, and this is my personal phone number. I want to stay in touch." And I said, "Okay, so great." And so I thanked him again. And then last week when I was at church, one of our church members said, "Oh, people have been talking about you." And I'm like, "Oh, what have I done now?" And he said, and he laughed, and he said, "Well, our daughter Jennifer, she's Dr. Rach's nurse, and apparently they are copying their papers and they're handing out everybody walks in the door." So I'm beyond thrilled and grateful. So, and I invited Dr. Rach to come today because I want him so badly to meet you. I know you could help him and guide him and give him some advice. And he's already looked you up online. he was giving a talk at his church today about the dangers of falling and balance and stuff like that. So he wasn't able to come, but he does plan on coming sometime, and so I look forward to that. But we're thrilled. We're thrilled. So that's a general practitioner in Seguin, Texas, that is now whole food plant-based. So the whole point in all of this is everybody you meet, you're planting seeds. And those seeds reach far and wide. I send out the little handout again. I offer it to people online all the time. I send it to them. Most of the time, I don't hear anything back from them. But there are those moments I get these emails back. You know, it could be months later or something like that. And it's, thank you so much. Your information changed my life. You know, I'm doing great. You know, I've lost weight. I'm off my diabetic medications. Everything. And so those mean a lot. And I'm sure this happens here at this potluck too. We'll have people that'll come 1 or 2 times, and then we never see them again. And then I may see them, 6 months, a year down the road, and I'm like, "What happened to you?" And they've lost weight and stuff because they don't have to come every month. They were able to grasp it and change. And I think part of it is because I try to give as much information to them so they can walk away and they can go do some research on their own, so that they can make the changes. Because I want to empower people to be able to do this on their own, and that's what we need to do. Each person that we touch can go forward and touch somebody else. So we've got to continue to pay it forward, because it is up to us. And that's my finale. Any questions?
May I ask for some questions while you get yours all ready?
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you, does Seguin's school district have a SHAC, which is called Student Health Advisory Council? Have you ever heard of that?
I have not. Do you know, Stacy?
Okay, so Student Health Advisory Council, I know our county where I live in Buda has it, and so I became a member of that, actually chairman of that, and we were able to get Aramark, which is a bad food service company, out of the Hayes Consolidated School District, and we were able to get a much more whole food. I mean, hey, they're still bad, but they're much less processed food.
Yeah.
And better, to change that for Hayes County. So if anybody knows anyone on the school district, and you don't have to have a child in the school district. My child is 38, so we can have an influence through that. And it was amazing how many kindred minds there were in Buda that people wanted this when they got presented some education.
Oh, that's awesome. We'll look into that, check into that. We happen to be friends with a couple of people on the school board, so we will check into that.
Good. What recurring date is your talk at that church?
Okay, it's always the 4th Thursday of every month, from 6 to 8. A lot of times we go past 8, but 6 to 8 is what we advertise.
And you said it was a Methodist church?
Yes. First United Methodist Church
in Seguin.
Yes.
Okay, very good. And do you have a website?
No, we do. We have a Facebook page. Actually, it's called. I call it Let's Get Healthy Seguin Guadalupe County Sharing Page, because we have it so that people can put recipes on there. I had another one to begin with, but it wouldn't let people share, so we added the second one.
Let's Get Healthy.
Seguin Guadalupe County Sharing Page.
Very good. Very good. May I ask you some questions too? Come.
Sure. Absolutely.
All right. What do you think of getting to bed before 10 p.m. then?
Well, I like it. I mean, for me, we get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, 3 days a week, and we go to the gym, and then I try to run like maybe 5 miles or something. So
Wow.
it's easy for me because we get up there.
Very good. Was that one of the things, always going to bed before 10 p.m. that you were doing before you met me?
Not always, but I've made it much more common, yes.
Do you think that my strictness about wanting you to eat veggies for breakfast has been a help, or was that just an annoyance?
No, that's extremely helpful, because one of the things that I was doing wrong was I was eating a lot of fruit. And both you and Dr. S stresses the importance of not eating too much fruit, because especially in the context of smoothie, where the sugar gets into your bloodstream quite quickly, and that shoots up your insulin and also shoots up your cholesterol. And that was my problem. My cholesterol went up, even though I'd gotten it down to like total 117. The LDL of 49, it went back up because I was eating these smoothies with a lot of fruit in it. So that was a huge mistake, but yeah, absolutely.
And when do I say that you can eat the fruit that you want?
Well, the only time we eat fruit now is at supper or dinner, if you will. We eat whole oat groats as our base, and then we put berries, and only berries, occasionally an apple, but mostly berries. And we just do that at supper time, and we don't eat anything between meal in accordance with her instructions. And, you know, everything that Dr. Carney told us to do, we're doing, and it's working extremely well, both in terms of, you know, blood sugar level, blood pressure, and also cholesterol. So yeah, you need to go see this lady if you're having any problems whatsoever.
Or just take notes on what you're learning, because it's not rocket science, but people who are motivated enough to do it. Do you feel that the changes that I've asked you to make were just too picky and strict, or do you think that they were worth, in terms of taking a walk after each meal and all that stuff?
Oh, it's totally worth it, totally worth it. I'm hooked on taking the walk after the meal. I mean, getting outside, and one of our visits with her, it'd been really cold. We've had some cold days, and our excuse was, well, it had been kind of cold, and she said, bundle up. So I'm bundled up. In fact, this is a little funny thing. I ordered myself online one of those burkas or something, yeah, like that. And I ordered a black one because my coat's black, right? Okay, so I get this in the mail, and it says, "Do not wear in a bank or a store." And I'm like, oh my goodness, what have I done? But I pop in. In fact, Dennis says, I don't know what these sheets in the front yard went on, but I pop it on and I walk around the backyard with them. But I have not gone to the bank with it on. I'm not. But I mean, I never would have. I was just concerned about keeping, because I don't like that cold wind blowing on my face. But anyways, yeah, and I love it. I love the walking, and our puppy has benefited too, because I get her to the dog park several days a week, and while she's playing with her friends, you know, we're walking, and I'll get in 2 or 3 miles just walking around the dog park, you know. So, and that's in addition to still going to the gym too, which we you know, had done that for years. But yeah, and as far as her being strict, the food didn't change that much. It just, I kind of changed the order. You know, I eat the big breakfast and a little bit of our lunch, and then the oats and berries. And I think I sleep better. I know I felt good before, but I feel amazing now.
One of the big things is reduce the amount of food we're eating, because we don't eat between meals anymore. And that was one of the big things.
I was worried about him, because this man, he can put away some food. Can your dad put away some food? Yeah. And he would eat, oh my goodness. Oh, and a bonus of all of this is, we don't have to run the dishwasher near as often. Because we're not eating, you know, in between. Because I would usually grab, you know, a piece of fruit or something in between, or, you know, just depending on what we had. You know, I would eat something, but I don't even eat in between anymore either. And you know, that explains 11 pounds. You know.
What veggies do you eat for breakfast? I just have a hard time thinking. Oatmeal, I love oatmeal for breakfast. And berries. Maybe I shouldn't have berries in the morning. I don't put sugar or anything on it. But veggies for breakfast?
Lots of greens,
Like
trying to get
salad.
your nitric oxide to dilate your arteries. So lots of greens. Also, lots of squash, and beans, the whole gamut.
You just
And-
steam them or what?
Yeah.
Just for eating fresh?
I'm sorry?
You steam them?
We steam almost everything. We do eat raw food occasionally, but most everything we fix is in a either a crock pot or a steamer pot, an Instant Pot, if you will. And we do almost everything.
Yeah, we
Beets,
usually
beets
have-
is the other thing, that
Yeah.
in addition to the greens, we eat a lot of beets, so,
For breakfast?
yes ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it is kind of totally turns things upside down. But I'm thinking if you have any kind of health issues at all, I mean, I think it's a thing to do. And like, I usually we've got these bowls, they're about that big round, okay? And I put usually about half of it filled with greens. I like steamed kale myself the best, and I'll sprinkle a little bit of nutritional yeast on it. And then I like, either a sweet potato or some other kind of potato. I love the cold cannon, which is red potatoes, red cabbage, red onions, and kale. And I could cook all that together and mash it up, so I like that. And so there, I'm getting double veggies and stuff there. And then, like squash or
We also just
cauliflower,
steam,
broccoli, whatever, it's just, and then, like probably a half to 3/4 cup of whatever beans we have at the time. We try to keep beans cooked up. And that's breakfast, and it's a nice big bowl, and then I do something similar for
and
lunch.
we also steam onions and put those on top of everything.
So should we move the oatmeal to the end of the day?
Yeah,
Yes,
Not
that's
have oatmeal for breakfast?
yeah, that's what we did. And at first I thought, okie dokie, but from my talk that if my doctor tells me to do something, I'm gonna do it. He told me to read the book, I read the book. She told me to eat my oatmeal at night, I
Yes, sir.
eat my oatmeal at night.
How long does it take you to cook breakfast?
Well, we kind of do it the night before, so it doesn't take long at all. We're basically just heating it up. So what I do is I put it in an Instant Pot, and I fix a lot of beans or a lot of this or a lot of that. So basically, it's all sitting in the refrigerator, and all we're doing is putting it in the microwave each morning.
I'd say we do a lot of what we call batch cooking.
Yeah, exactly.
So, because he may want beets and I want carrots or something. So, I just put, what I want in my bowl, he puts what is on bowls, and we stick it in the microwave and we warm it up. And the oat groats, if you haven't tried oat groats, I highly recommend them. They're a little bit to get used to, but I think they're worth it. And we were having to go to Whole Foods to buy them, but we found them on Amazon, and we buy 15-pound bags of them.
You can get them at Wheatsville in the bulk section.
Yeah, but sadly in Seguin, Texas, we have no Wheatsville either. So, but I like them. They're very good. You can replace your rice with them because they've got that kind of texture.
Yeah, we put a little bit of cinnamon on them, and then we sprinkle berries on top of that, like blueberries, blackberries, raspberries.
Chia seeds, do you recommend chia or not?
But some people need chia seeds because they're skinny teenage boys who are desperate to build big muscles, so they need more calories. And some of us are of a certain age, and we're trying not to gain too much body fat.
We drop
So
the chia seeds.
everybody's at a different place. So, but chia seeds are very high in omega-3.
So if you want to lose weight, you drop the chia?
Well, limit. It's not that you can never have it.
It's Dr. McDougall says the fat you eat is the fat you wear. And
Sure.
okay, Dr. Carney had us get a scale that tells you your body fat and all the body fat
Percentage.
percentage, your weight. Yes.
How much of you is muscle? How many
Right,
pounds of you
right.
is bone?
That is very, very, and I highly recommend one. We actually have two of them because we bought